The 10th Doctor and Rose Tyler lose the TARDIS down a deep chasm, leaving themselves stranded on a space base positioned on a planet in the orbit of a black hole. Meanwhile, an entity who identifies as Satan himself is awakening and beginning to cause chaos amongst the crew. Welcome, friends and companions. How are you today? Sci-Fi Fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and a special place on this channel for Doctor Who, my beloved sci-fi series. This channel is called Random Entertainment Channel and has different names. And today is a Doctor Who channel. What a surprise! So, random, because we'll discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books and music. We don't do politics and religion. These are not entertainment. We want to have fun, yeah. Random, because we'll broadcast on non-fixed times, actually on many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random also, because we have no guests or different guests. It depends. You want to join me in a live stream or panel. If you want to join me in a live stream, feel free to contact me via Discord or YouTube, and we will look what is possible. Actually, you can put a comment on one of the videos to contact me, and you can contact me via the Discord server Random Entertainment Channel tag Doctor Who, and you'll find me very quick because I bump the server regularly. So cheers, man! Have lots of fun. This is your host, Enigmatic Joker. Mystery. Yeah, mystery. So today, also a mysterious story called The Impossible Planet with the 10th Doctor, David Tennant. Some general info first. The Impossible Planet was the 8th episode of Series 2 of Doctor Who. It marked the first appearance of the youth. The episode was also rife with allusions to the realm of hell and its ruler, the devil. A prequel to The Impossible Planet, Episode 8, allows viewers to witness the presence of Captain Walker, who would later die during his cruise expedition and only receive posthumous mention in this episode. Okay, that's the general info. We will dive into the plot, so spoiler alert. It's important to say that because if you haven't watched this story yet, I highly recommend you to watch and or listen to this story before you further listen. So it gives you some time to decide, and then we will dive into the story. Okay, let's go. The TARDIS materializes inside a sanctuary base, meant for deep space expeditions. The 10th Doctor notes that the TARDIS didn't seem to want to land here, as if there was something wrong. Rose suggests they leave. However, both immediately laugh at the idea. Since when have they left after encountering something unknowable? They follow a corridor out in an open area that looks like a canteen and discovers the words "Welcome to Hell" written above lines of unknown characters scribbled on the wall. The doctor says that it must be incredibly old, as the TARDIS is unable to translate it. He then opens a door, which reveals a group of aliens with tendrils in place of mouths. Each is holding a glowing orb in their hand, connected underneath the tendrils. Doctor greets them warmly, asking what they are doing there. The creatures say, "We must feed," repeatedly, advancing on the Doctor and Rose. The Doctor pulls out a sonic screwdriver and brandishes it as a weapon toward them off. One of the creatures shakes and bobs the orb it's holding. It's now saying, "We must feed you if you are hungry." Just a glitch with the technology. Humans and immediately afterwards surprised to be seeing people. The Doctor and Rhodes meet the rest of the crew, led by acting Captain Zachary Crossflame. An earthquake occurs and they all have to take cover. The crew is introduced as Science Officer Ida Scott, Head of Security John Jefferson, Trainee Maintenance Officer Scooty Manista, and Archaeologist Toby Z. And the Doctor and Rose also learn that the creatures are Ood, a docile race of empathetic servants who work on the station. Ida opens a massive metal roof window, revealing they are orbiting a black hole. Zack and Ida explain that they are on an expedition on an anomalous planet orbiting the black hole, K37 Gem 5. The Doctor realizes that it is impossible for the planet, which is also called Proptor, to be in a geostationary orbit around the black hole, as it should be pulled in like the star systems around it are. He calculates that it would take a phenomenal amount of power, a power source with an inverted self-extrapolating reflex force of 6 to the power of 6 every 6 seconds, to generate the huge gravity field stabilizing its orbit. The field extends out as a distinct gravity funnel into clear space, which allowed the expedition away into the planet. The funnel is not a natural phenomenon, and the crew is drilling then 10 miles underground to the core of the planet in hopes of finding the power source and using it. The origin of the power source is an ancient civilization that had been on Krop Tor. An inscription on the wall is a transcription of fragments found on the planet during their drilling. The Doctor soon discovers that storage section 5 to 8 had collapsed as a result of the earthquake-like tremor they had experienced moments after their arrival, dropping the TARDIS, which has been in storage 6, into a crevice. With no resources to divert the drilling, Rose and the Doctor are stranded. Ida offers to put them on the duty roster. The crew goes back to their duties. Toby begins to hear a voice addressing him, but the person tells Toby not to look at him, otherwise he will die. Elsewhere in the base, an Ood tells Rose that the beast awakens to make war against God. A horned image is displayed out of the corner of Zack's eye, and the computer system tells Danny he is away. The voice speaks to Toby, and the symbols from the pottery he was holding appear on his skin. He passes out. In the habitation area, Ida opens the roof window so they can watch as the remains of the Scarlet system are swallowed by those black hole. Watching the spectacle with the Doctor, Rose realizes that she can't call her mom, as there is no signal on her superphone for the first time. The pair talk about their uncertain future until Rose's phone rings. She answers it, and the voice tells her, he is away. In his room, Toby wakes with symbols all over his face, and his eyes are now red. The Doctor and Rose go to ask Danny about the Ood. Danny attempts to reassure them, showing a telepathic field monitor, which goes up to basic 30, a reading 6 times normal. When Rose repeats that she heard on her phone, the Ood responds with, and you will worship him. Scooty goes to drop off some paperwork to Toby, but finds his own room empty. While she puts the paperwork on the desk, the computer announces the opening and closing of door 41, an airlock. Concerned, She rushes to the airlock, where the computer confirms that the door opened and closed. The computer cannot tell who went outside and says no spacesuit was taken. Through a window, she sees Toby in the winds on the barren planet's surface, without a spacesuit, although there is no breathable air. Toby turns around to look at her, and with a gesture, she reaches towards him. After she asks him to stop, Toby places his first cracks from on the glass between them. Scooty tries to run towards door 440, but it will not open. The glass shatters and alarms blare as the air begins rushing out of the base. Scooty is dragged away, screaming as she loses her grip. The base begins to shake violently, and Zack orders them to evacuate the affected section. Danny, Rose, the doctor, Jefferson, Ida, and two security guards all rush to the nearest safe corridor. Jefferson pulls a clear-skinned, pale-eyed Toby through last, then closes the door, sealing the breach. Zack then asks if everyone is all right. Jefferson then reports that everyone is accounted for except Scooty. Jefferson then calls for Scooty on his radio, but he gets no answer. Zack then tells them she's all right and that her biochip located her in Habitation 3. Jefferson and Ida sigh in relief. They then go down to search for Scooty, but the doctor and Rose tend to Toby. When Toby, Rose, and the doctor enter the habitation, they find the searchers looking frantically. Ida is calling all the habitations looking for Scooty. Jefferson then reports that Scooty is still missing, while Zack continues by saying that her biochip says she is in habitation 3. Then the doctor sadly says he found her. Scooty is floating outside in the vacuum. Jefferson reports her death to Zack. I then goes over to the control to close the overhead. Say Scooty was only 20 years old. Scooty floats away towards the black hole, spinning as the door closes. Jefferson recites a verse from a poem. And how can man die better than facing fearful odds for the answers of his fathers and the temples of his gods? Suddenly, the drilling noises cease, and Ida realizes that the drill has stopped, meaning they've managed to drill down to the core of the planet. Non-essential wood are confined, and the doctor convinces Zack to let him go down to the center of the planet with Ida. Once there, the doctor and Ida discover a massive cavern with ancient giant sculptures along its walls. They head for the power source, guided by sensor readings, and find a large circular disc set in the floor of the cavern, which the doctor suspects is a trapdoor of some sort. Meanwhile, in the base, Denny calls from where he is monitoring the OOT to report that the OOT's telepathic field has risen dangerously to basic 100. Basic 100 is high enough to induce brain death, but they are obviously still alive. I reports the edge of the massive door is covered in the ancient symbols, and he asks Toby if he's translated any. Toby says he knows what it says, and looks up at Jefferson, and rose to red eyes in a symbol-covered face. He says they are the words of the beast. He then taunts Jefferson before the symbols flow from his face to the Ood. Toby faints, and a different group of red-eyed Ood begin to speak and advance. They identify themselves as the Legion of the Beast, and recite his verses as they begin to advance on the crew members. The security guard with Danny is electrocuted by a translator ball. Danny runs. In the other chamber, Jefferson, Rose, and their guard retreat. The doctor and Ida stand before the sealed metal door on the cavern ground. Rocks fall and the ground shakes, even to the base above, and the sections of the door fall apart and slide open to show a black chasm. Zack reports they're losing orbit as the Ood back Rose's group into a door that won't open. The doctor and Ida run back to the edge of the chasm as a voice calls out, "The pit is open, and I am free!" As the doctor and Ida look down, malevolent laughter echoes. To be continued, because Actually, this is a two-part story. Each episode of that story has a different name, and the next episode of this story is the second bit, but that's for another live stream. We'll focus on this episode of this two-part story. I will name some cast members. The Doctor, 10th Doctor, is played by David Tennant. Rose Tyler is played by Billy Piper. Mr. Jefferson is played by Danny Webb. Zachary Ross Flynn is played by Sean Parks. Ida Scott is played by Claire Rusbrook. Toby Z is played by Will Thorpe. Danny Bartok is played by Ronnie Uti. Scooty Manista is played by Anna Brewering. The Oot is played by Paul Casey. The voice of the Beast is played by Gabriel Wolf. And the voice of the Oot is spoken by Silas Carson. Some world building. The Scottish system was home to the Palushi, a mighty civilization that spanned a billion years. Second thing is that the scriptures of the Veltino describe the planet as Croptor, the bitter pill. Third thing is that Dr. states tortoises are grown rather than built. Very important to know. Tortoises are grown rather than built. Fourth thing is that Zachary mentions the Bayesian scale. A fifth thing is that UT 7 Gamma 10, UT 7 Gamma 11, and UT 7 Gamma 12 are part of the Walker expedition. Sixth thing is that Dr. references EastEnders by saying that, quote, this is the best Christmas Walford ever had, end quote. This terrible omen. Some influences, Prince of Darkness, and sound effects matching the door opening and closing sounds from the first two games in the popular Doom series are occasionally used, especially noticeable when Toby goes searching for the voices, distracting him from his archaeological findings. Some story notes. Before the Oots were created to fill the role, the production team had originally considered Lexipavasatorians for the servants on Sanctuary Base 6 having been enslaved by humanity at some point in their history. They were to have been revealed to secretly believe that the planet being explored was actually the dwelling place of their god, who would free them from this servitude. It was decided to use a new race when it emerged that the cost of repairing the Sledine costumes was just as much as if the crew created new alien costumes from scratch. Russell D. Davies was also concerned that it would take over the plot, specifically that the presence of the returning monsters was detracting from humans whose pioneer spirit he felt was at the heart of the tale. Seen in TCH 553. The Ood would be later revealed in Planet of the Ood to come from a region of space near the sense sphere, thus suggesting a genetic relationship between them and the Sensorites. Interestingly, the Sensorites are introduced in Strangers in Space in a very similar way to how the Ood are in this episode. Both races at first appear to threaten the Doctor and his companions before they finally reveal their more benign intent. Actually, the first Doctor, William Hartnell, is with the Sensorites. That's with the companions, Ian Chesterton, Barbara Wright, and his granddaughter of the Doctor, Susan Foreman. This episode is the first to feature the Sanctuary Base 6 spacesuits, which become a regular fixture in the revived era of Doctor Who, having been worn by the 10th, 11th, 12th, and 13th Doctors and their companions on a number of occasions. Another note is that the planet was originally named Hell. Another thing is that Russell T. Davies chose the name of the Ood rather than Matt Jones. This was deliberate contrast to his typical flair for ostentatious alien nomenclature and reflected his intention that they seem odd. Odd Ood. Other things that scenes of bodies floating in space were filmed on the underwater stage at the Pinewood Studios. The first time the series had used this facility, not counting Doctor Who and the Curse of Fatal Death comic relief. Another thing is this is the first episode of the revived series to use a quarry as an alien planet. Quarries were frequently used in this manner in the original series. Rusty Davis was not a fan of this production decision. Another thing is that Billy Piper's former husband, Chris Evans, was planned to voice Satan. Gabriel Wolf was cast only after the episode had been written and filmed. Another note is that the Doctor and Rose's introduction to the Ood originally went on a little longer. With Rose awkwardly taken up the Ood's offer of refreshment, fumbling her way through an order. Then the Ood called for Mr. Jefferson, calling Doctor and Rose, quote, unauthorized visitors, end quote, which the Doctor finds harsh. He prefers friends you haven't just haven't met yet. And which actually how the lead introduces them with Mr. Jefferson comes in a moment later. Mr. Jefferson annoyed, it's the translator sphere out of the Ood's hand and prompting a harsh chiding from Rose. Another thing is that the only significant edit made in the post-production was a sequence in which the Doctor uses the drill head to detect the sound of a heartbeat emanating from beneath the planet's surface. Next thing is that this is the first story since the greatest show in the galaxy to take place entirely on an alien planet. And the greatest show in the galaxy is the Seventh Doctor story with Sylvester McCoy. And of course, a Bayan. Another thing is that this episode was made to counter criticisms that Series 1 was almost entirely Earth-based. Next thing is that the Ood were given long facial fronts and a translation device to avoid the need for an expensive mouthpiece from complex animatronics. Another thing is that Erosling was originally supposed to direct, but he was assigned to block 4 of season 2, which consists of the Idiot's Lantern and Furher. Next note is that an early notion was to confine the recording almost entirely to the studio. The production team resisted the idea of using a quarry to film material on an alien planet, thinking that they would be perpetuating a horrid Doctor Who cliche. But it was eventually agreed that such an environment would be the best way to achieve the scale that the story demanded. Since an open quarry was standing in for an enclosed cave, extra dialogue was written to cover the possibility of rain or snow, with the Doctor explaining either one as poisonous precipitation produced by gases circulating beneath the planet's surface. Now notice that John C. Estate's factory in Pontypool replaced a different venue which had been found to severely contaminated with asbestos. Next thing is that Rusty Davies and Phil Collins both agreed that they wanted an actor with a vocal presence akin to Gabriel Wolf to voice the Beast. As it turned out, Wolf was happy to return to the series. And a last note, Rusty Davies wrote in the writer's tale that an early draft had a cliffhanger of Rose being possessed by the Beast, but it was discarded as Davies didn't like how this led into her being in a dream sequence subplot while possessed in the next episode. So that are some story notes. And we'll now dive into continuity, because Doctor Who stories and episodes are in some way, to some extent, related to each other, reference to each other, influence to each other, linked to each other. And I think in the Who universe, much things are interpretation. And every time I rewatch a story or slash serie or slash episode, whatever, I discover new things that actually reference to each other. I have 9 things in continuity. The first one is that while the doctors balked at the beast's claim of existence before time, perhaps before the creation of the universe, one of his earliest almost destinations, despite his claims of adventure to sea at which he did not experience scientific knowledge, would even be proven wrong, but not willing to accept any other claim because it didn't fit his rules anyway. A similar situation occurred when Martin Truman's powers and any other influence by the ancient lights failed to register in any way on any human or alien technology, regardless of its effect. Burning, atmospheric disturbance, earthquake, energy blast, usurping signal transmission, mind control, which is birth date related, etc. Speculated to have existed before the existence of this universe, and supposedly confirmed by Truman's knowledge a connection to the lights, indicated in most probability the universe existed before this one, and the laws of physics either did not apply, were weaker, or simply different there. And astrology, which now remains as a sort of universal memory, etched onto a vast majority of civilizations, similar to creation myth or Satan's existence, actually worked. That is in TV Secrets of the Stars. Um, that is that's actually Secret of the Stars was the first serial of series two of the Sarah Jane Adventures. That is about that the astrologer Martin Truman causes stir with his uncanny insights and predictions. And Sarah doesn't believe in astrology, but she does believe that all is not as it seems with Truman. Around here, around her, people are falling under Truman's sinister spell, and even Mr. Smith doesn't understand what's going on. So that's a bit of that explanation about that. Another thing is the second thing is that the beast's son, Abaddon, would later also be awoken and appear in Cardiff. You see that in TV story End of Days. That is actually the 13th and final episode in the third series of Torchwood. That deals with the drift that is open. Beings from all periods of time are seeping through. And what actually does Billis Menger know, and what lurks in the rift? And can Jack save the world? That's all things, all questions that are answered in this episode of the story of Torchwood. Our third thing is that the beast possesses Toby and the Ood. Rose and the Doctor previously both endured a different and more comedic form of possession by means of psychograph at the hands of Lady Cassandra. That is in TV episode New Earth. A fourth thing is that Rose mentions that she worked as a dinner lady. That is in the TV story School Reunion. Fifth thing is that the Ood, while possessed by the beast, say, quote, I shall become manifest, end quote. As does the Wire. That's the TV story, the idiot's lantern. A sixth thing is that Rose has received a message on a new superphone. She left her previous one with Mickey Smith. That's in the TV story, The Age of Steel. The seventh thing is that doctor suggests the TARDIS may be suffering from indigestion. Indigestion. And that is in the TV story, TV movie Doctor Who with the eighth Doctor, Paul McGann. Eighth thing is that the beast claims Rose will die in battle, a fate that she avoided by escaping to a parallel universe, though she was reported as dead after the Battle of Canary Wharf. That is in TV story Doomsday. And that is, yeah. Next thing, the last thing is that the doctor has met or at least heard of the Ood before. That there's a thing in okay, with audio story, a thing of Gal. So, and that, my friends, is all I have to say about this story. Some commercial, and then so sci-fi and fantasy fans meet on this channel for fun chats about their beloved books, movies, series, and franchises. We also talk about food and drinks, music and sport, and special place on this channel for Doctor Who. Random Cause will discuss everything that involves entertainment, including movies and series, books, and music. Random Cause will broadcast on non-fixed times, actually many different times. You need to subscribe to this channel to know what time the broadcast is. Random also because we have no guests or different guests. It depends on join me in the live stream panel. If you want to join me in the live stream panel, feel free to call me via. You can put your comment under one of the YouTube videos, or you can contact me via Discord and go to the Discord server Random Entertainment Channel. If you are looking for that server Tech Doctor Who, will find me very quick because I bump the server regularly. So you can send me a message there, and we will look what's possible. So feel free um, to join me, and feel also free to invite me for your channel, for your live stream or panel, because I also want to contribute to your channel. I want to make friends. I want to network. So, in summary, you are invited for a live stream or panel on my channel, and you are feel free to invite me for your channel and live stream and panel. So, rest me to say, cheers, mate, and lots of fun. This is your host, Enigmatic Joker. So, I'm looking forward to meet ya. See ya. Bye bye.